Action! Welcome back to episode 3 of the Action Podcast. We'll be talking about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. We'll be talking about Jada Pinkett Smith and some of her comments. We'll be talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi and Moses Ingram, some of the backlash with that. And then we're also going to talk about some upcoming films, whether we're excited or not. We're going to talk about some of the latest trailers to include Pinocchio. And then, of course, we're going to review a couple films, mainly crimes in the future. And then we're also going to talk about Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, because those are literally the only 2 movies that just came out. So we've got an action-packed lineup tonight. So, Pete, why don't you start us off here? Give us the latest news.
First thing we'll talk about, because there's a lot going on besides the lack of stuff that's been going on this week in the movies. The first thing we're going to talk about is the results of the Johnny Depp defamation case against Amber Heard. He actually won $15 million. And I think that she won $5 million off of something.
You know the best meme I've seen with that?
Which is what?
Somebody posted a meme on that, and it was Amber Heard's like net worth. It was like minus $8 million. I was like, that's rough.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I had to say that one.
No, that's fine. It was a very crazy trial to watch. I know my wife watched it a lot. Like, she was hooked. It was almost like when we used to watch the OJ trial, like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on. And so it got me thinking, what are my top 5 Johnny Depp movies of all time? Which brings us to our first list of the episode.
Let's do it.
Top 5 Johnny Depp movies. Paul, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, number 5, this is an excellent film. And, you know, this is still when he's pretty young. He's a major actor, but he's not an A-list actor yet. And for me, number 5 is Donnie Brasco. And the film, he's super excellent in it. And he's playing a guy we actually interviewed. He's playing the agent, the FBI agent, Joe Pistone, and AKA Donnie Brasco. And so I've actually met the real guy. But again, the performance is excellent. Obviously, Johnny Depp is a little different character than the real guy, but either way,
he was my number 5. I just assumed that you would have. I thought you were going to give me a lot of backlash on that one. I thought you would have had Donnie Brasco a lot higher for some reason.
You know what? I can't argue it being higher. the only reason I put it higher is, I love my list. So
yeah,
I'm pretty actually, there's a couple of roles I cut out, and I was like, like one of my favorite ones, just go honorable mention, but it's not a very well heralded film, but it's our Mark Mead got me into it, but it's called what was it, the bad guy? Hold on. Dead Man. Yeah, so it's just like black and white Western, but this is like Johnny Depp when he's really you do like a major motion picture film, then you do like an independent film. And this is like a undercover film. So I really want to include that because he's really excellent in that. But I haven't seen it a whole lot. So that's why
Dead Man's a tough watch. It's tough.
A tough watch, but he's excellent in it though.
Sure.
Number 4 is a film that I actually just really enjoy watching, and he carried the film, but that's Sleepy Hollow. And I do love a good Tim Burton film.
Yeah, I didn't put that on my list.
Yeah, so I was like, I really like Sleepy Hollow. Like, it's I thought it was such a tough film, and I was worried that'd be hard to execute, but I really like what Tim Burton and Johnny Depp did in that film. Okay. Number 3 is Edward Scissorhands. Let me tell you what, that's a childhood favorite. I've seen it not that long ago, and I will go to bat for that film. Number 2, this is a sneaky film. I'm sneaking this one in here. This is the upset. This is the upset pick of the week. Ninth Gate.
Oh.
This is a sneaky good film. It's a very weird kind of topic, but he's basically like a book collector. But I don't know. It's just one of these really interesting films that you're really along for the journey, and you just don't really know if Johnny Depp's a good guy or a bad guy. Like, it's just really hard to get a grasp on what's happening, but you're super interested. It's a really good topic. One of my favorite underrated films. And then number one, I mean, you got to say it. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't think there's any way that is a franchise without Johnny Depp. I mean, I remember when I heard the idea, and I'm like, how are they going to make a movie out of this? And then all of a sudden, even when they casted him, I was like, okay, whatever. And then when I saw it and what he did with that character, just so charismatic, and it was just, to me, one of the greatest characters of all time. And
Sure,
that's why it's got to be number one for me.
sure. It's a pretty good list. We're pretty similar on a lot of cases, but my list is probably the more perfect of the two lists.
I doubt it, but go ahead.
Number 5 for me is Donnie Brasco, same as yours.
Okay.
Number 4 for me is Blow.
Right.
And we talked about on the last episode with Ray Liotta. That movie just sticks with me. A lot of it has to do with Ray Liotta's character, but Johnny Depp's perfect in that movie. He's so good.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the same, Edward Scissorhands. Number 2 for me is something that's
So
very
curious where you're at number 2, because like,
what's that?
I'm so curious what you have as number 2, because I don't.
It's sneaky. This is my sneaky one, and it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's Finding Neverland.
Okay.
I loved watching this movie. I loved the idea of his character just having this sort of imagination where he can just open a door and walk into a world and just be completely immersed in it, and be able to write things and be able to look at something that's going on in his life and be able to extract iconic characters and iconic scenes from stories and just create.
That's a movie I probably need to rewatch.
It's so good.
So
it's really good.
Special note to our viewers: Finding Neverland. Let's watch that, guys.
Let's watch it together.
And watch Ninth Gate. So we gave you 2 sneaky picks. I don't think a lot of people have seen Ninth Gate either.
Well, my number 1 is The Ninth Gate.
Wait, what?
Number 1 is The Ninth Gate.
Dude,
it's my favorite Johnny Depp movie of all time. I could watch.
I didn't know that
every day.
No, I love it. It's such a. I already gave my opinion on
it. There's a lot of there's so much intrigue.
You didn't include Pirates of the Caribbean at all in your top 5?
No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I left out like Gilbert Grape, which he was amazing.
That was one I really struggled with.
I wanted that in the list. I wanted From Hell in the list, even though Sleepy Hollow, which wasn't on my list, is better.
Yeah,
but From Hell is still good.
Sure. I'm lukewarm on that film.
And so Pirates is fun. It's good, but these movies that I have on my 5 are which is perfect. It's a perfect deeper 5 list
for sure.
But The Ninth Gate is so great. There's intrigue. There's like you never know what's happening around each corner. I love the fact that it's these original edition books, and like his job is to find these books, and
it's just an interesting story. It's so unique.
Dude, he's creepy. He's
I need to watch that again.
He's going to rip you off at every turn if you don't know what you're talking about, and yet he kind of has a heart.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Such a complex character. Yeah, I love it.
Ah, man,
such a good.
So good.
All right.
So another news and notes. Thank you for your list, Paul. I think I won that one.
No, I won it because of Pirates of the Caribbean. You can't argue that. I mean, that's literally one of the most iconic characters of all time. Like, and you left off your list. That should have been over below.
You're going to rewatch Finding Neverland and go, he won that list. So anyways, recently Jada Pinkett Smith finally opened up again about what had happened at the Oscars, and said
slap heard round the world.
The slap heard round the world. She hopes that Chris Rock and her husband, Will Smith, will start to come together and start to strengthen their relationship, as well as start to strengthen the rest of the world as well. Thought it was quite interesting that that she would be the only one of the 3 involved in that conversation. Would actually make a statement. Have I heard anything from Will Smith? Have I heard anything from Chris Rock? I just
Will
feel
Smith,
like
no. Chris Rock has said stuff in the comedy, but he's specifically said, I'm not going to make a comment right now. But he's made a comment that he's not ready to make a comment. But Will Smith's he's only done, letters or whatever you want to call it.
Are you Team Rock or are you Team Smith on this one?
Oh, Team Rock, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
Team
not
Rock, for
even.
sure.
It's again, and I love Will Smith, and obviously wonderful segue into our next top 5 Will Smith movies. But and look, I do believe at the end of the day, mistakes happen. Did he make a mistake? He did, and he's going to pay for that the rest of his life. Unfortunately, he literally is going to be making one of the worst mistakes of his life. But Will Smith is an inspirational guy, and hopefully he's going to learn from this, and hopefully we're going to see the next phase of his career. We're going to see, again, it should have been celebrating his, Oscar win, and this is what we're always going to remember about this Oscars. And he changed the world, because, or especially for comedians and all that, like he broke that wall that was there. And, because then Chappelle got attacked like not that long after. Like, unfortunately, it's just the wrong. He's going to be notorious versus famous maybe now, but
I just found it interesting that right before the Oscars, I don't even know how long ago it was, where Jada was talking in an interview, and she was talking very openly about her condition and how it's something that needs to be discussed, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and it's nothing to hide from. And then Chris Rock comes out and he makes a joke, and then all of a sudden he just gets the shit slapped out of him because of it. And why Will Smith felt the need to defend her when she didn't need defending. She's a queen that doesn't need a king, right?
I
She doesn't need anybody to come and.
Well, and that's not the form. That's not in my opinion, in no way was that a defense of anything like that. He didn't defend her honor, like he did the opposite. And again, it's just I can empathize with Will Smith. He lost his head, and it's an unfortunate thing, but yeah, that's just an unfortunate part. But anyways, let's segue into our top 5 Will Smith movies. I started on the first one, Pete, so why don't you go first, and then obviously I'll beat you.
Sure. All right, so here's my top 5 Will Smith movies. Again, this is a perfect list. Number 5, I put King Richard only because he won the Oscar for it, and I watched it, and he was incredible in it, and it was fantastic. I thought he deserved it, and
I agree.
It was such a good movie, and it was
actually entertaining too. Sometimes those movies aren't entertaining. They're so trying to maybe like not convey a message, but like they're just not entertaining. Like, sometimes these biopics just aren't entertaining, but they're truthful, but they're not entertaining. This one was highly entertaining. The girls in that film are excellent.
So good.
And the mother, I gained a whole new respect for her. And, that was, someone made kind of that comment, like the mother should be in the title too. And I'm like, yes, but it's not about her. And they're not trying to say she's not important. Like you're just losing the point of what the film is about, him. Right. And it's his story.
But of course it's the classic tale of, the guy that, who is inspirational and does all this hard work and pushes through for the sake of his kids and overcomes something. But what's the glue? What's the real strength in that relationship? It's the wife.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
He can't do it without her.
The wife is the unspoken hero many, many times.
She was the logic. She was the common sense. I mean, she was the rock, like you're saying.
And she was also the one that basically said at the end, you either do this or we're gone.
Yeah. No, but a great film. So on the same page.
And so number 4, I put Aladdin because I thought he did as good as you could do trying to replace or try to copy a legend.
I agree with your premise. Number 4, wow.
How do you follow Robin Williams in that role? But I thought that what he did with it was so good that it deserved to be on my list.
All right. Fair.
Number 3, only because of nostalgia. I remember seeing it in the theaters when I was younger. It was Independence Day. It was the first time I saw him really outside of the Fresh Prince world. And
it was. That's what made him a star. That's the movie that made him a star.
It blew my mind, and it made me love him to death.
He was excellent.
Um,
I actually
number
had that on my
two,
list, and I ended up. So spoiler alert, that was on my list. I crossed it out only because I got another sneaky one that jumped in. But that's my honorable mention is Independence Day for sure. Because I love that film.
Yeah, it's really good. Number two for me is a movie that was a book that I had actually read, the one book I've ever read in my life. And when they did the movie of it, I thought it was really well done. It's I Am Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really awesome. I thought he did really good in it. There's not much. I mean, there's only so many people that can actually do a movie where it's just you.
Yeah.
In a movie, Tom
Still be
Hanks can do it. Will Smith can do it. That's a future list. Actors who are the only role in the entire movie.
Yeah, right.
And number one for me is Bad Boys. And Bad Boys is just next level. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to crush your list. So you
I
had
already know
good
what's going to
ones
be on your list, dude.
There's a couple good ones that are on them, like they're my honorable mentions, and I hated hitting them off. So like I'm with you. Independence Day, I agree. That's the movie that made him a star. I hated cutting him off on that. iRobot, and then like the other one that I want to include on my list. You just said it. What was it? Excuse me.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. Yeah. So those three films I absolutely love, and I think he's excellent. I hated not putting those on my list. But so my number 5 is basically like my number 5 is his actually best roles. So these aren't the movies I necessarily watch the most. I thought these are two of his actual best roles. And I hybrided them, Ali and King Richard, because I think those are literally maybe his two, when you're talking about actually acting, like his two greatest performances.
Your number 5 is a slash?
It's a slash, yeah. I cheated.
Come on.
Yeah, that's how I roll.
Dude, you're the king of the slashes. You can't
I am
do
the king
that.
of slashes. But because it's like I couldn't, it's to me it's the same thing. It's like Ali and King Richard. It's the same type of role.
Well,
So
then for me, number 5 is King Richard / Ali / Gemini Man / Hancock / Focus.
Okay, we got your point. Okay, number 4, we're on the same page. Bad Boys. Mike Lowry. I'm Mike Lowry. Love that film. That was really the second film, I believe. That was his second film as a mainstream actor. Number 3 is where, again, he is now a legitimate A-list superstar, Men in Black. And he that film you can't do without him. And
yeah, that was one of the ones that I wanted on my list so bad.
He played off of Tommy Lee Jones so well. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones was great in that too, but it just such an amazing film, such a film in his wheelhouse, and so entertaining, so original, such an original film. Like Men in Black is an excellent film.
And my number 2, say something about Men in Black, like Men in Black. Okay, we've already seen him as a comedic actor with Fresh Prince. We saw him in an action film in Independence Day, where there was a lot of comedy as well in his performance. But Men in Black, and gosh, I wish I could put it back on my list at this point, because there was some comedy in his performance, but it was so cool.
Yeah,
the way he did that character, that I remember being mesmerized by it. It was really well done. Damn.
Well, and this is what leads me to my number 2, is because if there was a film that maybe influenced me the most, was Hitch. So in Hitch, Hitch. I love Hitch. And but just the way, like I used to dress like him, and just like the way, again, like you're saying, he just controlled that film so much in terms of like how cool he was, but he didn't try. And again, this is like the peak of his fame. He's an A-lister, but then he looks so like he was dressed so well in this film. And I wanted to be him. And that's why it's number 2 is just, and I love the film. I think it's a great romantic comedy.
But you almost won this list, and now you've lost this list.
No, there's a lot of people that are gonna hitch.
That's a number 5 at best.
A lot of people are gonna hitch on my ride on this.
No.
Well, then, and my number 1 is why I'm gonna win this, and I can't even believe you didn't include it. But it's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, like, what are you talking about? He went from rapper to actor.
But look at the title: Top 5 Will Smith movies.
It's always roles. It's supposed to be roles.
Well, that's why I changed it. I said movies, because we all know Fresh Prince is his best stuff.
Yeah, that's why it's number 1, which is why I still won.
It's not a movie.
It's not, but that's what started this So start this gangster shit.
Man, I think I'm 2-0 on this one.
No, dude, I beat you first of all because you have Aladdin in there, and no, I know what you're saying, but nobody's gonna put Aladdin in his top 5 acting. Like, stop it.
Had he ever done a role like that before?
Yeah, Men in Black, Hitch. Yeah, my list is better, especially because I got fresh.
Dude, Hitch.
I'm winning
Hitch
that
is
one.
a number 5. If Hitch was going to be on your list of top 5, it's a 5 at best, and even that's arguable.
The only reason why I put it number 2 is just how influential it was for me. Like I literally went and bought clothes like to match the style. Like I still, when I even watch it today, I still think that style holds up. Like
he's cooler and more well dressed and focused than he is in Hitch.
See, but Focus was like, to me, like the sequel. Like, I don't know. I see your point.
On Hitch.
Anyways, let's move on.
His best film was The Pelican Brief.
Yeah, right.
Moving on with Pete's news and notes, 2 things that kind of popped up on my radar recently that have to do with our last podcast, Top Gun Maverick, where there was 2 things that I had just read recently that I wasn't aware of, and I wonder if you're aware of it as well, and what you think about it.
Well, first, before we even get into that, let's acknowledge, because this, we're updating here. Top Gun Maverick has been crushing the box office. It is now Tom Cruise's most successful film, and it's not even
fooled a lot of people. His
biggest opening. It's highly rated. So I think we can officially say Pete was wrong.
Yeah,
I was right.
They call it the sleight of hand.
Yeah,
you're presented with something, and then they go, no, this is actually what it is.
But I've heard so many people that have just been so surprised. I heard on the Victory podcast and Ramble On podcast, Doug Ellen, who's a creator of Entourage, he didn't go in with much expectations, but he loved that film, and yeah, it's getting high reviews. So,
well, I just came from a industry soiree before this broadcast.
Oh, Peter.
Just saying, I'm pretty cool like that. And
by the way, TFTI on that one.
Yeah, sorry. I discussed this film with a lot of people, and not putting my opinion out there at all, but they all agreed with me. Just saying.
Well, I'm glad 5 people agreed with you. 100 people are agreeing with me. So
more like 8 people agreed with me.
Okay, out of 100, that 92.8, I'm still winning.
It's all right. So I heard 2 things about Maverick that I thought was quite interesting. Number 1 was that Kenny Loggins recorded Danger Zone, re-recorded it for this film, but then they scrapped it.
You're right.
Do they have a version of that we can listen to?
I don't have it like on the top of my.
It's interesting that they would go back. I understand why they would do that, because it kind of sets you right back into that tone again of that original film.
I heard even better news that Kenny Loggins still has concerts and is performing, and so I'm all in on that one.
Oh my gosh, how do we go?
Yeah, exactly. So just FYI, put that on your calendar. I'm literally after this podcast, I'm gonna look up when is Kenny Loggins performing again, and definitely you, and Jake.
We are going.
That. Yeah,
Pete might want to come. He might fly out just for the concert itself.
Splurge, Pete.
The other thing I heard, which I thought was quite interesting, which I hadn't heard a whiff of, is that Hangman, played by Glenn Powell, is that they're considering him the franchise successor to Maverick. So are they going to continue the Top Gun franchise with him as the lead, not as the Maverick character, not Miles Teller? I had never heard that until I read this.
I haven't heard that either.
But if I had to make a choice, if I was going to continue with a franchise and move forward with Top Gun, I think I would go Glenn Powell over Miles Teller without even thinking about it. No?
I would think you do both, but because here's ultimately what I would be hoping for is we're going to see missions. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like that's what I liked about this film was about a mission, and like I'm all in. We just don't get to see flying missions. It's just it's not really a very popular genre. So if I'm thinking of something unique, you can make a series out of this, and maybe it's 10 missions or something like that, and it's again like the top pilot, so you can keep most of the cast, obviously, besides Tom Tom Cruise, I don't think he'd be, in it, but I think you can do
I think
something.
that's the indication that
Yeah.
Cruise would not be involved at all.
I think there's definitely some exploration you can do with Hangman. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I would watch
based
it.
off of what you're talking about,
As
based
long
off
as they
the
don't
box
go to
office.
CGI, as long as they keep everything still practical, and I'm all in. Just don't go CGI and shortcut it like that. That's the only thing that would ruin this.
Yeah, and based off the box office turnout that you've been talking about so far, I mean, why not ride that wave?
Yep.
I mean, if you can keep this franchise going, I mean, just don't do the same movie over and over again. I mean, that would be my advice to the people who are writing these.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the last news and notes I have is about Moses Ingram, who's one of the stars of the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series on Disney Plus. She's been facing a lot of racist attacks online for no other reason other than that she's Black. And it's really unfortunate that in 2022 we're faced with this sort of thing where we can have a world, a fictional world, mind you, where droids can exist, Wookiees can exist, Jabba the Hutt, Salacious Crumb, all these different characters can exist, but Black people can't exist. I mean, it's just fucking outrageous, and shame on everybody who has a negative word to say about anybody in this film, especially in this
and
context.
If you didn't like her character, I mean, that's
absolutely outraged by this.
No, but you could not like her character, but again, you don't have to make it racist. But again, obviously, there's definitely people out there that just have a low level of IQ, and that's the only way they know how to, disagree, or like they shoot from the hip, and that's unfortunate, like you're saying. But pivoting from that, I have seen the first 3 episodes, and my opinions have kind of been all over the place, probably from each episode.
Curious about your thoughts.
First of all, going into it, super excited for it. I mean, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, like, sign me up, right? The first episode, I was slightly confused just because, and I was questioning my Star Wars knowledge. And I was just curious on whether they were maybe straying away from the facts that have already been laid in the movie. Now, obviously, we know Star Wars, Luke and Leia kissed and they became brother and sister. So, we also know Star Wars isn't that great at the, linear continuity. But from my knowledge, and you correct me if I'm wrong, one of my initial issues with just the series in general is I thought Obi-Wan and Darth Vader hadn't seen each other till literally they faced each other on the Death Star. I thought, I haven't seen Star Wars to back this up, but I thought when he sees him for the first time, he's like, Obi-Wan, you're still like, I thought it was like, oh, you're still alive type thing. Now, maybe I'm wrong on that. And if I am, then this kills my argument. But it confused me initially just because I was just like, okay. And then kind of the same thing, like now, Obi-Wan did know that Darth Vader was still alive. So there's a lot of things that do make sense in this. But again, this was just an initial concern in my head. Like, okay, are they trying to force a story here when it's not natural? But with that being said, watching little Leia, I think, is super cool. I do feel so far it's a little nostalgic, but the 3rd episode, I thought it was like, okay, cool. And I thought they did kind of a cool thing with Moses Ingram's character and like her, like the group she's in. They're called the Grand Inquisitors or something like that. But I do like that aspect of it. I think a lot of this is based off the comics, to be honest. I don't know anything about the Star Wars comics.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I hope you're not giving anything away from me.
I haven't said anything that these are all public knowledge. It's in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm not gonna do any reveal. But all I'm gonna say is what I'm looking forward to, and what I think is going to be the case, is we're gonna see prime time Darth Vader. Like, this is Darth Vader in his prime, and obviously, like, when we see him in episode 4, they just didn't have the technology to really make him full. I mean, we saw a glimpse of that in Rogue One, and it was awesome. Like, you saw Darth Vader at his full strength. This is what I'm looking forward to moving forward, and I love what they're doing with Obi-Wan's character. So it's good. It's good so far. I'm definitely looking forward to episode 4, and again, kind of seeing where this is going to go. But I think if you're Star Wars, I mean, I think you got to be all in. I mean,
see, that's the problem though with like super fans of Star Wars, like I think you and I are, versus crazy super into it fandom people, like with comics and with like other sorts of literature that have been done.
They're going to pick it apart.
Same with the MCU. Like, I mean, if you don't know the comics that well and you only know the movies, in some circles, you're not as cool, right?
But these are people that also don't understand story. So everything is, we do understand story, and this is why we come from the perspectives that we do. It's because we don't hold dearly on the small details. Like, you can't compare a novel to a film because they're different mediums. And again, anybody with any sort of writing background or production background knows these are the decisions that get made, because ultimately, if you stick too much to a script, it gets boring and it doesn't work for a visual medium. And again, a comic book is a different medium, because you can pick up a comic, you can close the comic, you can pick it up, you can close it. A film, you're not supposed to do that with. You're supposed to sit down and watch it for 2 hours, and then that's it. And this is where, like, I'm never going to be on that camp of it's just different from the source material. It's like, it's because it's a different medium, you dumbass. It's different. Like, stop comparing. It's not the same.
So where I was going with that was to be on the same page with you in the fact that, when you first see Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader in A New Hope, it does give the impression that they haven't seen each other in a long period of time. That being said, I don't know the in-betweens. Like, there might be some literature out there that says that they've had this relationship or whatever it is. I haven't seen it.
No. And let's say
I would have gone into it with the same impression that you had.
Well, and I'll say this. Again, this is very early on, they say it. So this is 10 years between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One / Star Wars. So they hadn't seen each other in 10 years. This is known this is pretty much common knowledge. So even if this is like a small, subtle thing, it still will be 10 years before they see each other again, most likely. So it still may all work. So that's why, like I said, it was more of a thought that popped in while I was watching it, but it's not something I'm going to really harp on. Again, at the end of the day, I'm just going to watch it for what it is. And if I'm either going to be into it or I'm not, but so far I'm into it.
Now, the next segment we're going to do is a little segment called Excited or Not Interested. Let's just burn through these. There's 4 topics. You just tell me yay or nay on whether or not you feel excited about them or not interested, hence the title. First one is the Hunger Games prequel that they're working on right now. Do you care?
I don't. I didn't really like Hunger Games. Never read the books. Thought the films were very kind of generic. They never did for me. I mean, I think I liked the concept, but I felt like I just had seen it before, and I don't know, never did it for me. So I tried getting into them, and I got into them a little bit. I don't think I've actually finished. I don't think I saw
the second Mockingjay one. Like, I think it just stalled at some point and never revisited it. So I don't know. I don't know if I care either. What about the Exorcist reboot that they're working on?
I'm intrigued. Mainly kind of for the same thing as Firestarter. Like, technology is just so much better to make it. It is another good example. Like, technology is so much better to make this a better film. Like, the original Exorcist obviously scared the crap out of all of us, but like, what you can do with that now, if it's just a good story, obviously we're assuming it's going to be a good story. I think it could be great, but all depends on.
I think that's why The Exorcist was so good. It wasn't just some sort of horror film. It was a great story, and it was really well executed.
It combines religion and
Imagine you take that great story and you put today's technology. I agree 100%. The third one is a movie that they're working on right now called Secret Headquarters. It's a superhero movie starring Owen Wilson. Are you What do you think about Owen Wilson starring as a superhero?
I'd say I'm intrigued.
Mhm.
I would need to see a trailer, but I would say ultimately I'm intrigued. At the end of the day, I think I would give Owen Wilson a chance, only because of Wedding Crashers. So he'll
Yeah.
always have a opportunity in my book. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so, because I mean Paul Rudd became a superhero, so
Yeah,
why
and
not
it worked.
Owen Wilson?
No, I'm with it. And there's many other Owen Wilson films I like. So I'm
Of course.
ultimately a pro him, I would say.
I was curious if you saw him in a superhero role.
Depends on what the role is, but like you're saying, Paul Rudd to me is a great comp, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And then lastly, Beetlejuice Part Two.
I think I need to rewatch Beetlejuice. I don't have a fond memory of Beetlejuice. I think I was too young maybe to understand it.
I think
I love
so.
Tim Burton though. So, and I love Michael Keaton. So I just feel like I need to
Alec
rewatch.
Baldwin.
Yeah, I think I just need to watch the first one and maybe I'll get it more. But I think it. I don't think it scared me, but I definitely don't feel like I had good emotion watching it. So the
It
second,
was
I would
one of
say
those
today,
movies that when you first watch, that just kind of fucked you up a little bit,
yeah,
where it's like I've been watching The Karate Kid and I've been watching
yeah.
The Neverending
It was darker.
Story.
Yeah,
And
like a
those are
darker
like,
type film. Yeah,
yeah, and then all of a sudden Beetlejuice comes out and you watch it and you're like, what? You can
yeah,
do this with a
yeah.
movie?
So I would say let me rewatch the first one, which I would, just because
Mhm.
I feel like I would need to. I should be interested in it, but yeah,
Let me know if it holds up.
yeah. I mean, we'll find out. Like I said, I don't want to judge something when a 10-year-old Paul,
Yeah.
or however old that film was, 10 or 11. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't old, so
All right, let's burn through some of the latest trailers that have been coming out that'll be hitting a theater near you or streaming platform near you. The first one is Pinocchio. Pinocchio is an upcoming film directed by Robert Zemeckis, who we know is from Back to the Future and Forrest Gump, Castaway as
yeah.
well. Produced by Walt Disney Pictures. This is a live action adaptation, of course, of the animated film from 1940, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's going to star Tom Hanks as
Yeah.
Geppetto,
Geppetto, yeah.
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to voice.
Voice. Wow. Good job. You're crushing it. Voice.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to voice the Jiminy Cricket character, and then the
Okay.
voice of Pinocchio. What's that?
You say, oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. The voice of Pinocchio is going to be voiced by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, who, if you've seen The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix, you will know who I'm talking about.
Nah.
I don't remember him from that show, to be honest, but
No.
if he's cast in a Tom Hanks movie, he must be good.
Yeah. I mean, that's a all-star lineup already.
Scheduled to be released on Disney Plus on September 8th. I'm looking forward to this film 100%. With all these remakes, live action remakes of Disney films that have come out, if this is anything like any of those, especially The Lion King, then I think we're in for a treat. The Lion King was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, some of the
Cinderella was
films
good.
they've rebooted have not been my favorite films. I did enjoy Aladdin, but I loved the original Aladdin. Aladdin's maybe one of my favorite animated films of all time.
You didn't like Lion King?
I never got into it. I'm not like
Really?
anti-Lion King.
Favreau? That's your boy.
No, I never got. I was never, like I said, I'm not against it. I don't have a passion for it. Like I haven't seen it again. You know what I mean? And like if I like a movie, I'll watch it again. I haven't seen it again. What other ones have come out? But I mean, I love Pinocchio growing up. Pinocchio was one of my favorite characters growing up.
Yeah,
I love the original film. So I mean, I'm all in on this film, and especially Tom Hanks Geppetto. I think could be a smash hit, and that.
At the end of the day, you put Tom Hanks in any movie, I'm going to go and see it.
Yeah, 100%. He's obviously earned
and he's going to crush it.
Which just leads us to Pete, our top 5 Tom Hanks movies. This was a tough,
because this was tough.
This is the toughest, maybe the toughest list we've ever done.
This might be the toughest. How do you encapsulate Tom Hanks in the top 5 of all time? This is really
easily as a top 15. Like not even like it's not even hard to do a top 15 for him. So many good films got left off of.
Please do not leave negative comments in my my down below about me,
Dude, I
because
mean, one of the films I left off is like, it's insane that I left it off. But
oh my gosh, I'm looking at my list of movies that I left off, and all of them are like Academy Award winning
yeah,
movies. But
yeah,
this is really a personal list of mine.
it's same as me. I'm going off of what I like him the most in. So I'm not necessarily saying this is his 5 greatest roles. I'm
I'm
saying,
not going to argue at all.
yeah. So number 5 is Philadelphia. I think that was such a revolutionary film for him.
Okay.
Because that was he was a comedic actor before this. So this was his first serious role. So I think in terms of his career, this is the pivotal film. So I think he did Big right before this, or
Really?
Man with the One Red Shoe. I don't know, something like that. So Philadelphia was his first like pure serious role, and then he won the Oscar for it, of course. That was his first Oscar of 3 in a row or something like that. My number 4, again, just a different role than he's ever been, but it's Road to Perdition. And the film itself obviously is amazing, but this is when this is probably one of his darkest characters. And, you know, he's a gangster, and, you know, it's excellent film. And yeah,
hold on, you're right.
My number 3.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Philadelphia right before Forrest Gump, but right after Sleepless in Seattle. So
that's a romantic comedy.
Yeah, but exactly. But that was his first real, like, sort of.
He's great in Sleepless in Seattle. I hated cutting Sleepless in Seattle off too. My number 3, again, just a different role, iconic film, but just a different role than he's been. And it's A League of Their Own. And he was a drunk baseball coach, chewing out women. And we hadn't seen him like this. And so not only do I just love the film itself, but I loved his character specifically in this. And we started to really see the range in Tom Hanks. And this is, again, the early 90s, right?
Right.
My number 2 is probably my favorite film of his, but this was like, to me, I think this is the film that made him like a star. And it's Big. It's Big. I mean, I don't think I need to explain it. I mean, Big is one of my favorite movies of all time.
100% agree.
This is one of the first films that made me feel different emotions. Both sad, like it just, again, I was like 6 years old, I think, when this movie came out. So, or maybe 8. I think it came out 88, maybe. But again, as a 7 or 8 year old, like, this movie really, really hit so many different chords, and like feeling lost in the city. Like, I just, made me feel so many different ways. And again, he was excellent in just going on with the journey, And then number 1, I mean, it's Forrest Gump. It's hands down, no brainer. Johnny, like, what other? There's no other film he gets more quoted on than Forrest Gump, and obviously he won the Oscar for it too. Yeah, but I mean, look, there's a lot of tough choices here, but at the end of the day, I think I pretty much aced it.
At the end of the day, it was a perfect list.
The perfect list.
It was
done. It was a tough list, but
well done. So, yeah, I can't even begin to argue with any of those, because my list is pretty crazy, and I'll give my explanations. But I will say it was tough for me with this list, because each role that Tom Hanks takes on and creates and performs, there's a new evolution that's behind it, and 100%. Each character that he brings something to it that he's never done before, and yet you're so familiar with it that it makes it really kind of comfortable and safe. Whenever you see a Tom Hanks movie, I always feel very safe when I'm watching it, no matter how perilous it is, no matter how treacherous, how scared I may be.
That's why there's one of the films, and I'll mention after your list, but one of the films I left off, I mean, it was so hard to leave off, because kind of like you're saying, it's when he basically elevated to, like, he's the A-list guy. I mean, and it was his 3rd Oscar, but still. Yeah. Go ahead.
The 3 movies that I left off that I really struggled with was The Green Mile, which I loved.
Yeah, excellent.
I thought he was excellent. Toy Story, even though it was just his voice.
No, he made it. He made it. And if you see the behind the scenes, you'll see how important he is to that even being a success. And He was so pivotal in that film.
The other one was Apollo 13, which
That's the one. That was the one.
It seems such a basic role, and yet he elevated that so much that he made me care about, even when he's doing that scene about seeing the fluorescent or luminescent moss when he's coming in, when all of the lights are out on the aircraft carrier and he has to land that plane, and he's talking the way his voice is and the way he's really kind of speaking about that thing, and he's like, you just never kind of know what's going to transpire, and he kind of looks at the camera, and it's just his voice, and he just makes you feel good. Every time he does a role, he makes you feel good.
And that was the first role that he was not just the leading man, but like the leading man in the film, in terms of like, he was the leader, you know, and that's where he elevated, because, in Forrest Gump, it's just such a different role, right? Like, but he's not like, it's not necessarily like the leader in that. Obviously, like that movie is like, he's a feather in the wind, right? And then obviously, like Philadelphia, he starts out obviously as a weaker character that has to kind of stand up for himself and battle, but he's dealing with sickness and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
But this is the first film where he's not only the leading man, but he is the leader, and he's a bona fide A-list star. And like you're saying, we're okay with him being our captain, our pilot, and he's gonna, like, we're gonna go on this journey with him because we trust him, we believe in him. And that one hurt leaving off. I wanted to include that one, but I feel like I had to do Philadelphia over that one, just because, again, Philadelphia, he had not ever done anything remotely close to Philadelphia. It is such an amazing performance. It doesn't even feel like Tom Hanks.
What a transformation.
You're right. Again, you're coming from, what'd you say? Oh, Sleepless in Seattle to Philadelphia. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's insane.
What a jump. By the way, I just want to point out how amazing it is. We're talking about how incredible Tom Hanks is, while I have this.
We have our crimes of the future backgrounds.
Look at this image. Anyways, okay, here's my top 5. And again, this is my personal top 5. Number 5 is That Thing You Do. And it's one of my favorite movies. And he's so good in it, because when I was in a band, I had a manager who acted exactly like Tom Hanks did, to the T. And so when I saw this movie and Tom Hanks came out and he acted exactly like this manager was, it struck a chord with me, and it made me love this movie even more. I love the fact that I
don't know if I've ever fully seen this movie.
Oh my God. The music is perfect. It's amazing. It's catchy.
Doing that thing you do.
The record label is Playtone Records, which is now it became the name of his production company because of this movie. It's It has everything to do with Tom Hanks. It's almost like his branch out of him doing movies for other people and him starting to do movies for himself.
Right.
So that was like number 5 for me. Number 4 was Catch Me If You Can, because
this is where
it was a different
Boston
movie.
Accent's rough.
But what's that?
His Boston accent's rough.
It is rough, but he's
That's why I didn't include it. I think I liked him in the role, and I love the movie. The accent's rough. Especially because I've got such a fucking good Boston accent. It's just fucking hard to listen.
Dude, your accent's bad.
It's better than Tom Hanks's.
I just watched Good Will Hunting, and some of those moments are pretty bad too, but not as bad as, you're right, as Tom Hanks in that movie. But still, it's still a good role, and it's a great movie. It's a great Tom Hanks movie.
It's a great movie, but we're talking about the role.
That's number 4. Number 3 for me is Saving Private Ryan. And for the reasons that we were talking about earlier and that you pointed out specifically, is when he reveals that he's a teacher, he's somebody that you would follow into battle and die for. And yet you find out later on he's a teacher, and yet he's become this person that you've sort of dedicated your life to.
Become extraordinary.
All based on
he went
how
from
he is.
Ordinary to extraordinary.
Just an extraordinary person.
No, that one was tough to leave off too.
It was tough. That's why I put it on. That's why my list is so perfect. Number 2.
By the way, guys, please comment on this list so far. Who wins this one? Peter or Paul? Pretty sure I'm going to come out the winner here.
There's so many That Thing You Do fans out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's cling on to those Thing You Do fans.
There's a lot of Platonians out there who will rally behind me. Come on,
Yeah.
hashtag Platonians.
That's right.
Number 2 for me is Big, because it's the movie that I grew up with. It's the movie when I was a kid. I was like, Jesus Christ, I just want to be older. And it encapsulated every feeling that I had at that moment. Because I wanted to be big too. And boy, what an adventure. And he had so much fun. And Tom Hanks as an actor, to be able to pull off this role, he played an adult, but he had such a childish aspect to the way he approached that role. And I've never seen an adult be able to act like a kid more perfectly than Tom Hanks did in this role.
100%.
That's number 2. Number 1 for me is
and we started using what was that, silly spray?
Silly string.
Yeah.
Silly string.
Yeah, I remember spraying each other with that. Like, yeah, we copied that so many times.
Yeah, you just squirt out your nose.
Yeah.
Number 1, Road to Perdition. I can't find a more flawless movie. I loved it.
You didn't have Forrest Gump at all in your list?
No, I know. I didn't have it.
Dude, there's no way you're winning. First of all, I've got the League of Their Own crowd.
It shouldn't even be on any top 5 list.
That's going to totally support me.
List.
That's going to totally support me. But yeah.
Honorable mention, by the way, it's not a film.
Forrest Gump. I mean, come on.
Honorable mention is, it's not a film, but it's Bosom Buddies. And that was
100%. I'm totally.
It started it all.
And that's what started this. Yeah, I'm 100%. If you would have put Bosom Buddies, I've been like, it's a good call. It's a good call.
Bosom Buddies.
Yeah, we used to love watching that.
So all of that to be said, that Pinocchio is coming out soon. So keep a lookout for that. Some other things coming out. They're going to be remaking the Willow. Well, not remaking, but they're going to be doing
a continuation, right?
A continuation of Willow, starring Warwick Davis, who's returning.
One of my favorite films.
As Willow Offgood.
Yeah.
They'll be coming to Disney Plus as a limited series in November, at the end of November.
All in
on that. It's not going to be a sequel, but it will certainly be a series that's going to follow a group of people who are on search and a search and rescue mission for a kidnapped prince. Ron Howard, who directed the original film, will return as an executive producer. He will not direct.
Perfect.
And thankfully, especially after
he's involved, he's just got to be involved. Brian Grazer too. I'm assuming that will be
maybe. But thankfully, Val Kilmer will not be returning for this, especially after what we saw with Top Gun Maverick.
Jeez.
So the next movie is a movie called Bullet Train.
Brad Pitt.
And this is a movie that's directed by David Leitch. Leitch
or Lynch?
No, I think it's Leitch.
Leitch. It should be Leitch.
It's a movie directed by David Leitch, who directed Deadpool 2 and produced a lot of the John Wick films. So right off the bat, you know that it's going to be awesome.
I like the trailer. It definitely seems, again, like Brad Pitt has this kind of new kind of action comedic kind of role. I love him in this new kind of phase. So I like what I've seen so far. I'll definitely see it.
Throw in some Michael Shannon.
Podcast on it, so
yeah. Throw in some Michael Shannon and sprinkle some Sandra Bullock, and you've got a winner.
Yeah.
Devotion is also coming out soon. This is a movie that is going to be another one of those sort of dogfighting aircraft movies, but it has to do with the Korean War and Korean friendships between two fighter pilots.
Looked excellent.
One of them is the guy from Glenn Powell from Top Gun.
Yeah.
Who played Hangman, of course. The other guy's name is Jonathan Majors. He starred in Lovecraft Country, and I think he was also in Loki. That should be coming out in October. That's supposed to be really good. I just saw the trailers for that. I would go see it, 100%. The last one coming out is a trailer I saw recently called Beast, and this is starring Idris Elba. And he's basically a recent widow who returns to South Africa with his kids, where he first met his wife, and they go on an adventure, and they end up being attacked by this big giant man-eating lion. And the trailer itself that I saw yesterday, it looked really intense. It looked suspenseful. It almost looked like a Jurassic Park without dinosaurs.
Huh.
So
good pitch right there.
I'm certainly looking forward to that.
I'm an Idris Elba fan, so I would be probably all in regardless. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually looking at the trailer. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, but
I think I'm looking forward to all of those. I don't think there's any one of those
actually,
I won't go
all
see.
those. I'm all in on all those. Yeah, looking forward to all those. Awesome. Well, look, I think we're at the main event, Pete. Crimes. Well, here, let me do one small film first for the families out there. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. I haven't finished the film. I need to be fully honest, but it's on Disney Plus. But what I've seen so far, John Mulaney is.
We watch all kinds of movies here.
Yeah, John Mulaney is one of the guys, and Andy Samberg, and that's what actually, as an adult, made me like, all right, man, I really like these guys. So I'll give this a shot. And so far, it's been entertaining. What I really like is that they kind of do some like they do a lot of like inside jokes, and they're doing a lot of like mixtures of animation. So there'll be like a 2D animation, 3D animation. There'll be a like what's it called, a claymation. Like they're super clever with it so far. So it's a cute film so far. So I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. But so far, it's been solid.
Oh, well, all right. I have 2 kids, so I think we'll probably put that on our list.
Yeah, I think it's worth the role, especially if you loved the show as a kid. But they play off of, it's a continuation of like the TV show. So like the TV show is part of like the timeline in the thing.
You know, I never got into Rescue Rangers. I was always a DuckTales person.
Same here. I was never super into it, but I just like how like it's really cleverly written so far. And everything is, it's very kind of like Deadpoolish, where it's like they're very present of like who we are. Like we used to have a Smash TV show in the 90s, like, you know, so it's cute. And again, like I love John Mulaney too. Like he's just hearing his voice just cracks me up all the time. So.
I love that. And I love Andy Samberg. I mean, you put on Lonely Island anytime, I'll listen to it.
Right. Okay. So Pete, Crimes of the Future.
Crimes of the Future. Okay, let's set this up a little bit.
Yeah, let's set it up.
So the trailer came out.
I actually didn't watch the trailer. I didn't watch the trailer
at all. Okay, no, I did.
I went in this cold.
Probably smarter, because I went into it after watching the trailer, and there was a lot of hype after this trailer about the gore and how grotesque that this movie was going to display. Like there was a lot of really
and it played at Cannes. It played at the Cannes Film Festival. So this was not like it's not a small film. But that's, you know, part of the reason why it was on our list to like see is it was like this, you know, Cannes Festival. That's where it had it opening. I think it had a good reception for the most part.
I read that there was a 6-minute standing ovation after the end of this film at Cannes. Yeah,
there you go.
And I what are they clapping about? For 6 minutes? This movie, the trailer set it up to be, you know, knowing the director, David Cronenberg, and watching his recent films like A History of Violence,
Eastern Promises.
Yeah, Eastern Promises. Like, you get excited about it in terms of that. But, you know, you went into this after watching the trailer and expecting to see something that was very gory, very dark, and which it was. Don't get me wrong. This was a dark movie. Yeah. But it was a slow movie. And those little gory teaser trailer moments that you saw are sort of peppered throughout this film, and all of the stuff in between those specific beats that you saw in the trailers. There's a lot of ego just laying down, and it's slow.
So I need to tell my story here.
It's tough.
Tough. It's a tough one. This film, let's just be very honest. This film is not.
You tell your experience in the theater, and I'll tell you mine.
This film is not for everybody. So Pete kind of set that up. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not for, you know, weak-hearted people. Like this is a journey. It's a way different film. I didn't know what I was walking into. Just a different film. The only clue I had was Pete was like WTF, like what did I just watch? So that was like what I knew going into this. So I'm going into theater. I'm on time. And you know, I'm like, you know what? It's 11 a.m. So it's like, you know, let me get a soda, let me get a pizza, like it's lunchtime, you know. So, all right. So I got my stuff.
Like you do.
And I'm walking into the theater, and you know, these cups just, they're not strong anymore. And I didn't just drop it. It just went all over the place. And I just hung my head. I'm like, ah. And I was like literally like right on time. Like the movie was literally about to start. So, and there's only like 2 employees there. So I just felt like so bad. I'm like, sons of bitches. So I start grabbing napkins and start throwing it, hoping that someone would be like, we got it, sir. But I still wanted to like show like a fake effort.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me get some of these napkins.
Yeah. So I just like throwing napkins on it. I'm just trying to clean up a little bit, but I'm also like, I really gotta get to my movie. So I got delayed a little bit, cleaned it up, ended up walking in. And so I walk in and okay, so spoiler alert. The first thing I see is this mother throwing a pillow over the kid. That's the first thing I saw. And I'm like,
you missed something in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that information. But I'm just like, what? Where are we going with this? And then like the next scene it cuts to, so that happens, and the next scene it cuts to Viggo Mortensen, and it looks like this alien contraption, but he's just like sleeping, and there's these things attached to him, and he's just like, wah. So and I'm just like, first of all, like in the first scene is like super hard, and then like the second scene is just like, so I'm just going into like, what the hell am I watching right now? And so fast forward, I would say, again, dark. This is not my type of film. It was, at least I was curious enough that I was like, all right, I want to keep seeing it. And then like the guy behind Pete right there, I see that thing. So this guy's got ears like all over the place. They sew his eyes up. They sew his mouth up. Like, you will not talk anymore. You will only listen. And he's got ears literally all over the place. And again, I don't think I figured out the premise yet of this. And it was just so, yeah, it was super weird. But go ahead. You can go ahead into your.
I walked in and I had a certain expectation of a story that was comprehensible, that had very odd elements that were going to shock me and maybe elevate the way I look at filmmaking. Because why not do whatever you want in film as long as the story's interesting?
Yeah.
And like Paul said, you know, the first scene is, you know, this little boy who's, the mother's looking at him for the first couple of minutes, like, who the fuck are you? But nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden she sees him eating this plastic trash can.
Oh, I did see that. I had no idea what was happening there. Okay.
It's the first 4 or 5 minutes is like him on a beach, and then he's not doing anything, but the mom's like, don't eat anything from the water. Don't eat anything from the water. And then, but she looks devastated. And then the next scene is him in the bathroom eating a plastic trash can, just like.
I think that's right when I walked in. Yeah.
And then the mom's like looking at him like, I'm going to kill you. And then she does. And then she kills her kid.
Yeah.
That's the way we start.
Yeah.
Then it starts then it jumps into, and you don't revisit this opening scene until a little bit later, when
maybe 40% of the way, about 40% of the way through is when I was like, oh, that's where this is connected.
Scott Speedman plays the father who wants to have this child have an autopsy, a public autopsy of this child performed, in order to show the world that this is how we are evolving as human beings. So this is, believe me, I did not get any of this from viewing this movie. I got this from reading stuff online.
Oh, no, I got it
after.
Okay, so let me tell you. So here's what I did get. So what the film is about is it's about human evolution, and Viggo Mortensen character would develop extra organs that weren't he just literally would develop a new organ that wasn't connected to anything. And
But
so
why are we evolving? That's really
they never
important.
explain that. They never explain that.
It is explained. It's because of how we are. It's basically how we are treating the world right now, and how we're
the world is treating us back how we treat the world. Yeah,
exactly.
They do this. Yeah, you're right. They do say that. But so ultimately, so what's become popular in this world, they called it performance acting, performance acting
surgery.
Yeah, but it's called like performance acting or something like that.
Yeah.
And so what Lea Seydoux and Viggo Mortensen would do is she would basically perform surgery on him, but they would do like this performance art. That's what it's called. And they would have a show, so people would come and watch them, and she would basically do the surgery on him and pull out the organ, but everybody was like intrigued. And so what this whole movie is about is they called it like they're in the middle of the film or something like that. He's like, oh, I'm not so good at the old sex. So this film was like this new, again, how people have evolved, where the old way of people, how they would get stimulated, has kind of evolved to where now like pain and like masochism, like all that kind of stuff is like the new sex. And again, we had no idea this is the film I'm watching. And so like people would get turned on by like cutting each other. And
well, but here's where you're wrong. And
I'm not wrong. They say it in the film.
No, but they don't feel pain.
Oh, right.
So
no, they get pleasure out of it.
Yes, it's become as what they said, surgery is the new sex, is right. What they called it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
So basically this, I mean, and listen, ladies and gentlemen, the way that we're trying to describe this movie to you back and forth, this is exactly what you're going to experience if you go and see this film. It's bananas.
It's bananas.
The human species, us, we are adapting to a synthetic environment. And the body is undergoing all of these new transformations and mutations because of all this synthetic stuff that we are absorbing throughout our lifetime and are probably the generations to come. This is probably set 30, 40, 50 years in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, it's in a non kind of disclosed. Yeah.
But as these characters are performing and being performance artists, you get to another moment, another scene of this movie where they're going to perform, and then Viggo lies there and she conducts a surgery where nothing really kind of happens. There's no performance, there's no anything. It's just a continuous sort of just like what is going to happen next? I mean, and then every once in a while they show a very specific graphic image, like the guy with this dude with the ears.
Yeah.
And then there's another scene where, she, Viggo's partner, like starts giving him oral, but not on a private part, but on his stomach, on a stomach wound. She starts licking that, and that gives him like all this intense pressure. Yeah. And basically,
you're right. I didn't even think about it that way. Like, yeah, that's right. She was basically giving him a blowjob on the stomach. Yeah, I didn't actually put two together there.
And then Scott Speedman's character, who's the dad of the boy that the mom killed, who eats plastic, he's walking around the whole movie eating these like purple bars, which are plastic bars, and he gives them to like another guy who isn't like him, and he dies. And so basically he wants this autopsy to be performed to show that this is actually the evolution of man, and they are the new breed of people, the plastic eaters, and that this is what is going to be our fate.
Yeah.
And then the end of the movie, like Viggo's like, give me a purple bar.
Because the whole movie he's struggling eating. So the whole movie he can't eat. He's in these chairs to help him digest. So people are eating in these chairs to help them digest because nobody can no longer digest by themselves. Again, and these chairs are so creepy. Like it's just
it's just so bad.
And Kristen Stewart's like such a creepy character. Like it's just so creepy.
she's bad. She's not good in this movie at all.
It's just a creepy character. But I mean, like you're saying, there's obviously some story flaws with this film.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay,
but I will say this. I'm going to say two different things.
Okay.
One, I was interested enough to know where the hell this was going, only because it was so weird.
I wanted to walk out after 15 minutes.
I did, and then after 25, I was like, all right, I'm kind of all invested now. Now I just need to see what's going to happen, because I still didn't really know what was happening yet. And then the second part is, again, I'm not going to say go watch this film. I'm not telling you that. I'm not a fan of this film.
Don't do it.
What I am a film of, or what I am a fan of, is just at the end of the day, the creativity level. Like, what it takes for someone to actually come up with this idea is insane. But that's also, I guess, what I appreciate about this film, is that it's this is what makes film great. This is not for everybody, but there is going to be people that do love this film. Like I said, the whole Cannes festival clapped.
Yeah.
So again, coming from a filmmaker standpoint, I like the fact that people can put out things, and if you like it, great. If you don't, awesome. But again, just having the freedom to be able to do that, I think is, again, it's just another moment to just realize, like, you know what, this is what makes us great, is that we can have the freedom to do and tell the stories that we want, whether you like it or not. We have the freedom to do that. And again, I just as the filmmaker.
No, I get that. And I agree to a certain extent. Like, I think at the end of the day, this movie was a return to sci-fi, the genre, for the director David Cronenberg. And the people that love his films, I almost like, I just thought about it right now as you were talking. This is almost like an homage to his fans, and only his fans, and everyone else, like me, can go and fuck off. And because when I was in the theater and I was watching it, and there was probably another 50 people in that theater watching it with me.
50. And there's only like 4 in mine.
Yeah, it was packed. There wasn't a lot of people in this screening. And at specific moments throughout the movie, they all laughed at the same time. When I didn't laugh at all, I really felt out of place, and I felt
like a cultish film. It feels like
I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand the lingo. I didn't understand the language. I almost felt like a greaser surrounded by socias. You know what I mean? Like, I was so out of place. But I really do think that this was the return to sci-fi for Cronenberg, and it was just for people that love his work, and everyone else.
And I think,
kick rocks.
Like, to me, the best movie comp for this, and I was racking my brain trying to figure out, like, what kind of movies like this. There's not a ton of movies like this. The best one I can come up with, Eyes Wide Shut. So I was like, if you like Eyes Wide Shut, I think you would like this film. It's very similar in terms of it's got this dark undertone to it. There's a lot of curiosity to it. There's a little bit of intrigue. And then obviously there's like a a darker sexual element to it. And that's the only film that I thought was even remotely close to this.
Yeah, and it was the one other thing I'll say about it, which was interesting, was that they introduced this little group of people that were sort of supposed to be like a registry of these new organs, and like their job was basically to reveal through Vigo's character all of these new organs that he's generating in his body, and to record them and to show them, and this is where we're going as a human race. But he wasn't the one that they should have really been focused on at all. It was the plastic eaters the whole time.
Right.
They're the evolution. But it got 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
78%.
Wow.
Which I found absolutely outrageous. But maybe
this is a critic film. This is a critic film, not an audience film. I think that's the easiest way to say it.
I defy you to go and see it and watch it and go all the way through it and tell me that it's a great movie. I challenge you to do it. But I do not recommend
Pete
that you do
challenge.
it. Gauntlet has been thrown. Go watch this movie, and I dare you to tell me that it's good on any level. I know that, Paul, I know that you came at it from a, it's always good when people do this and that with film, but Jesus fucking Christ, man, at some point you need to tell a great story and appeal to an audience.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we've talked about this enough. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to use the simple comp of, if you like Eyes Wide Shut, I'd say go see this. If you hated Eyes Wide Shut, don't go see this. Anybody that doesn't like gory anything, or don't go see this. Like I said, there's a lot of people don't go see this. I think there's a 5% of people.
No,
maybe this is up your alley, but
you should go watch Senior Year instead.
Yeah, watch a combo, Senior Year, and then go check this out after. I know what I need to see tomorrow, though, Pete, to pick me back up. I can go see Top Gun again. That's what I'm going to do. Pick me back up. So, all right, Pete. Well, that, I think, wraps it up for episode number 3.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Make sure you guys definitely comment below on our list. If you agree with our list, we got a Johnny Depp list, Will Smith list, Tom Hanks list. Comment below on some of the things you're looking forward to, and
definitely tell me if you think that this movie.
Yeah, what do you think about
good.
This film? If anybody that's seen this film, please, we'd love to hear your opinion. Comment below. Make sure you guys subscribe. Obviously, we're in the very beginning phases of this whole project, but we're going to be talking a lot of movies, a lot of different movies. We'll be here hopefully twice a week. That's our goal, and yeah. So stay tuned. Next week we will have we got a Jurassic Park week next week too. We're going to be reviewing the original Jurassic Park, and then we'll be watching next week, next Friday, June 10th, is Jurassic World Dominion. So we got a big solid movie next week. So looking forward to that. Thank you guys.
Looking forward.
And cut.